Oh, chat, YouTube, welcome to a vintage challenge. Today, I didn't know what to play, so I asked Twitter, and one person responded, and they said, check out this cool list. And I was like, damn, that is a cool list. Now, we've played Eternal Witness, Ephemerate, Time Walk combo decks on our stream in the past. Sometimes Yorion, sometimes Urza. I guess I should be tagging Akash for value, because Akash was really the first person. Why can't I spell Akash right? Has an ephemerate time walk list in recent years. What are we doing? Oh, this one, I like this list. It was a little bit compact. It was playing Tinker Citadel, so I was pretty happy with it. So I took it into here and we changed it up a little bit. I wanted to play a more island-based 4-color Deathrite Shaman mana base, so I switched around the Tolarian Academy, took out a Savannah, played all islands so that I can fit in a Mystic Sanctuary. And then I wanted to add more Green Sun Zenith targets, but cut the number of Green Sun Zeniths. They were playing 4 Green Sun Zenith, which I think is way too many, especially when you're already on Spellseeker, and their Green Sun Zenith targets were very slim. I think having the ability to find a Scavenging Ooze or a Tarmogoyf in your deck is pretty important. And then I trimmed it down on the 4 Spellseekers. 4 was a lot of Spellseekers. They were a little bit too all in, I think, on the combo when they have the ability to play Oko and stuff in the main and have a more well-rounded deck. And then I think not including Monastery Mentor is just a mistake, especially when you are playing Tinker Citadel and a Moxen-based deck. Besides that, it's pretty much the list that 3-1 the preliminary. And then I just changed it to some things that I think make it a little bit stronger and a little bit more fleshed out. So we have our round 1 pairing. We are versus Namor Squats, and they're probably on Doomsday. So let's see what happens. That looks fine. It's not great, but I think it's fine on the play. Yeah, we're playing some Ephemerate today, so I feel like you needed the value tag, Akash. Interesting. I think it makes just more sense to play the Deathrite Shaman than it does to play the Scavenging Ooze. Yeah, there are infinite turns in this deck. It is a true statement. It's a little difficult. A little, it's a lot of moving pieces, but it's not super difficult. Like, your Spellseeker can just get an Ephemerate. And then, am I just dead here? So theoretically, I could force this. If they have Flusterstorm back up, then they don't kill us right away unless they have a Street Wraith as their draw card. Yeah, I can upgrade Cardboard Live. I don't know. It might just be like my best chance here is to force pitching Spellseeker, hope that they can't kill me on the same turn, and then untap and draw another blue card. It just means we just don't have the pressure to beat a Doomsday draw in any capacity, right? I mean, I theoretically could force, and then I could Spellseeker for Ancestral, which gives me a little leeway. I actually get to go up to 4 mana as well, so I guess I could pitching force and Spellseeker for a Flusterstorm or something, maybe. It's not great though. It's not great. I do think I have to force here. I do think tapping them out to pay for their Flusterstorm. Oh well, they just have Force of Will. Okay. Well, if they have a cantrip after this, they are just going to win the game because that's Doomsday. Yeah, that would be theorizing the fact that we get an extra turn here, but it looks like it's just a turn 2 kill with Force backup. I love Doomsday. Great deck. Jesus Christ. They could have had Force and Flusterstorm backup because their draw was a Street Wraith. Wow. Went for Ancestral instead of Gush? What if I had Misstep? Yeah, well, that's Doomsday, chat. That's Doomsday. Well, there was a reason at one point I was like, this Doomsday deck's a little too good. That's part of it. We don't really have that many cards to bring in for Doomsday either. Bring in some Flusterstorms. Leo's pretty good in this matchup, which is nice. I don't need a Swords. Don't really need a Scavenging Ooze either. I guess we'll just do that. Yeah, Doomsday has been like kind of on the back burner because people have been playing a lot of Breach and the matchup is just not great for Doomsday, but that doesn't mean Doomsday isn't still one of the most powerful decks in the whole format. It has consistent early kills and this is a fucking hand. It has consistent early kills with like lots of counterspell backup. Oh, this hand's great. I'm keeping it. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing with it. Because Doomsday does play a negation, usually one negation. But the upside for us on casting Ancestral from our hand on turn 1 is just so high that I think we're supposed to do it. I really want to crack my Lotus so that I could have a Vamp tutor as well, but I don't think that's worth it. Well, technically, we could go Vamp for Tinker, Ancestral off of Lotus, Tinker off of Ruby, and if we drew another blue card off of our Ancestral, we would have Force backup, but they would have already counted our Ancestral, so it's kind of weird. The biggest problem with that line is that if we Vamp for Tinker, and then we lose our Lotus, it's not that bad line, actually. I could also get Mindbreak Trapped if they brought that in. They probably would not have Mindbreak Trap in after we showed them Deathrite Shaman in game 1, but I'm like kind of interested in the upside of just going for a Tinker here. While they're tapped out, I can't get dazed, I can't get flustered. It's tough. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. I kind of like it though. If it fails, if they force or misstep recall, I still get to Tinker on the next turn, but then I get dazed is the biggest problem. Nah, this is not good. I'm gonna just go Underground Sea. I'm gonna Ancestral on my turn because I do think the upside is there. But this way, if this gets countered, I can still Vamp on my upkeep and go for Tinker next turn. They just had misstep. Okay. Wonderful. Never didn't have it. All right, so now I can't beat Flusterstorm. I can't beat Flusterstorm. I could just go Mentor, but that leaves me pretty susceptible to just dying. I could go Narset. Narset sounds interesting here. If I just Vamp for Narset, doesn't get flustered, doesn't get dazed, they have to have a Force or a Mystical Dispute, pretty much. And then I can find a blue card off of Narset. I think that's better than going for Tinker. Especially against Doomsday. I guess there's no reason not to play around Spell Pierce either, so I might as well just do that. All right, so their hand was Force Mental Misstep. I mean, are we going to die too? Are we just going to die on turn 2 with Force Mental Misstep? What a great deck. We are. Our opponent's gonna counter 2 of our spells and kill us on turn 2 again. I fucking hate Doomsday. I guess we're gonna play some Mana Traders matches while we wait. What a joke. Okay, we didn't die on turn 2. They didn't actually have a cantrip and 2 counter spells. But we need to draw well here. We need to draw well. We looking like we don't have very many blue cards in our deck, like I said earlier. We have not that many outs to draw a blue source to cast Force of Will. We could technically draw a Mana Crypt to hard cast. You like Doomsday because Doomsday is broken. Maybe Assassin's Trophy. I don't know. We really don't have that many outs, is what I'm trying to say. I'm just looking at my deck. We drew Tinker. That's one of the outs. That's quite good. It's just, can I cast this? I'm not allowed to cast this. I think I have to cast this, right? And just lose to these. Or Fluster. Or literally any piece of interaction. But I mean, if I'm waiting, what am I really doing? Like, I'm just countering. I'm like, I'm countering their Gush or their Ancestral or whatever. Like I could find out what last 7 cards are, but it's just not kind of worth it, right? We know. I guess we can figure it out. We can assume that there's a Black Lotus in their pile, and that there's a Thassa's Oracle in their pile, and we can assume there's 2 Thassa's Oracles in their pile, and we can assume that their top card is Ancestral or Gush. It's Ancestral. I would have chosen Gush because you don't want to get mental misstepped. So their 4-card pile now is Thassa, Ancestral, Gush. Sorry, Ancestral, Thassa, Ancestral, Lotus. Probably some other piece of interaction. Leaving Force, Negation. They have no forces. Fluster, Daze, probably no Dazes. It looks like a Fluster at least. I would think they have a Fluster in their thing and a Fluster in hand. 2 to 3 Dazes. But usually 2. It's 2. I think they have a Fluster in hand. And they're going to draw Ancestral. And then I could pay for a Fluster, but then I just die in... Oh, they would draw Lotus. And then they would draw Oracle. So I would die in 2 draw steps after that. So I would have 2 draw steps to draw something that matters. Unfortunately, the card that matters is Tinker, probably. So I think they have a Fluster in their pile and a Fluster in hand. But I don't think I'm going to be able to resolve Tinker, but I don't think I'm going to win if I force an Ancestral, is my problem. Well, I do have Eternal Witness, but I can't cast it to get back my Ancestral. Yeah, I just don't think that 2 blind draws after forcing Ancestral is going to be worth it. I think just hoping that they have both Flusters. The thing is, they can't have both Fluster. No, they have to have Fluster in hand. They can't have both Flusters in their stack. I guess they could have both Flusters in their stack if they had a Thassa's Oracle in hand already, or the Black Lotus is in hand already. Well, no, the Black Lotus definitely got put into the deck because they used it, right? So if they have a Thassa's Oracle in their hand, both Flusters could be in the stack. So they could have like land Thassa's Oracle in hand. I'm just gonna go for it. Yeah, they had the Fluster in hand. so they had Misstep, Force of Will blue card, Doomsday on turn 2 with Flusterstorm backup. That's completely beatable deck. Completely beatable deck. I mean, our draw wasn't even bad. Our draw was all restricted cards. Yeah, they had land. They had land Fluster in hand, so their stack is Ancestral, Thassa, Fluster, Lotus. So we could have drawn 2 extra cards this game and tried to win that way. They don't need to put this Lotus into their stack if they have 3 Underground Seas in play. Like, I think opponent's stack is bad. I think I would have put Gush as your draw spell. And then I would have put like an extra piece of interaction instead of whatever, it doesn't matter. Your stack doesn't need to be correct if you just have all the goods. Like, our draw was was Lotus Ancestral Vamp. So like our draw was good. It just didn't work. So that was not castable. And then we would have cast it. We would have won. No, we wouldn't have won. We would have gotten second flustered, right? No, we would have. Well, no, they would, because this gets. Yeah, we would have won this game. If we had held up force, we would have won this game. That's wild. Yeah. So if we had forced ancestral, we would have gotten 2 draw steps before Oracle. In which case we would have drawn Eternal Witness and then Eternal Witness back Ancestral. They would have cast Thassa's Oracle and we would have cast Ancestral targeting them and we would have won the game. This is like one of the only 2 card combinations that does it. It has to be Eternal Witness and a way to cast it. No, they don't have a Fluster. I forced their Ancestral. Oh, I guess they just let the force resolve and then they have a Fluster, so we don't win the game. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess this Ancestral would have been flustered because they would not have used the Fluster here. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So that doesn't even get there anyways. We just can't beat Fluster in hand, right? And so we made the correct decision to just hope they didn't have Fluster in hand. I'm glad like it just doesn't really matter what we did because they just had triple counterspell backup turn 2 Doomsday. No, that's the problem, is I would have to do it all on the last turn.